Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I just spent my birthday on the high seas. While traveling, I met some other cruisers who became subscribers as well as friends. You know who you are, Jason and Nicole. You know, turning 50 years old in a cruise is a lot different than the birthdays we had growing up. You know, when you woke up excited to have gotten a year older? I know, imagine that. But we also anticipated all the well-wishing, the singing over lit candles, blowing them out, having cake and ice cream, and of course, the presents. Or perhaps that year you got a party. You know, the one with friends. A little bit slightly elevated birthday, but nothing like the monsters they become today. I'm Victor, and straight out of the Gen Experience, birthday parties, surrounded by family and friends in the comfort of your dining room, or Burger King, or the Roll Arena. These celebrations are almost unrecognizable today, laughable by social media-inspired standards, and clout-craved extravaganzas that have little to do with the birthday boy or girl, and a lot more to do with the parents overcompensating. Come on, see what I mean? Surprise, your birthday was at your house. Or maybe, in a sign of great wealth, a McDonald's. To be fair, although your birthday was every year, parties were not. A dinner of your choice, cake and ice cream with the family, and opening some gifts afterwards was the norm. A party was a treat and started only by asking your parents' permission to have one. After half-heartedly accepting the reality of hosting duties, these full-blown shindigs were rare. If feeling particularly generous or smart, parents would arrange the party with the king or the clown, leaving a lot of the prep and cleanup in somebody else's hands. But the family home was the usual location. If you were a kid with a pool, entertaining was a no-brainer and took very little planning. It was going to be an exciting Saturday afternoon. We, however, didn't have a pool, but there were other location options. Depending on where you were in your Gen Experience, the arcade was a great spot for a birthday. Showbiz Pizza was an obvious contender, and finally one of the greats, the roller rink. Until you were old enough to just celebrate with some friends, spending the night. Which, if any, do you remember well? Theme? If characters from your favorite franchises appeared on napkins or party plates, that was the theme. And you were considered a highfalutin fancy pants with those. Without any branding, the theme was balloons and crepe paper. Lots of crepe paper. In other words, a birthday. Sparse decor perfectly spread across the ceiling, and bright balloons tied to any object gave the sense of celebration with little effort. But that doesn't mean hosting was easy for mom. Not on your life. Locations have elevated since the simpler days to include trampoline parks and go-kart tracks, but that just gets expensive. And since you shouldn't be asking for admission tickets to your kid's party, this seems extreme, especially for the pocketbook. I get it, having kids run around somewhere other than your house sounds ideal, but perhaps the bowling alley would suffice, or a covered picnic area at the park, instead of buying out a trendy mini golf course for the evening. Let's be real, it takes little to entertain your kid and their friends, am I right? Of course, some of today's kids still get birthday parties at home, but the themes run far from cowboys and Indians or even Hulk and He-Man. Themes will run from dinosaurs to murder mysteries and Taylor Swift to spa makeovers. And don't expect it to just be in the decor, but in the entertainment and themed food. If a parent has the dough, and let's be honest, even if they don't, their perfect little peach of a darling will enjoy a rental space where the setup and breakdown isn't their responsibility, but the price tag is. Tell us all where the most surprising locations you've seen modern kids' parties take place. I'll bet some of them take the cake. During a Gen Experience birthday, it was enough for us to just have our friends hanging out in our house all at the same time. Hopped up on sugar, being rowdy and making noise was the order of the day, and the surefire way parents knew we were having a good time. There might be a game or two played depending on your age. Pin the tail on the donkey was an old standby for the younger set, or perhaps musical chairs. As we got older though, sometimes the girls were satisfied with playing Barbies, doing nails, or watching MTV, while boys plopped down in front of the newest video game and console, or played outside with some preset water balloons for an epic fight. Yep, a birthday party meant someone was getting wet. What of it? We kept ourselves entertained, That is until it was time for cake and ice cream. Mouths full of food only quieted things down for a moment, because as soon as gifts were unwrapped, all hell would break loose once again. Parents of the past were not about to go into debt by renting a bounce house or hiring specialty entertainment like you see today. Clowns were definitely a go-to back in the past, complete with the usual balloon art. It was only the richest kids who got pony rides, and I didn't know any of them. Today, it's not uncommon to have Jedi demonstrations or Disney princess lookalikes appear at your party. When we used to turn on music videos or listen to a favorite album, a modern birthday party springs for live bands or includes a custom escape room. It seems to me that too much emphasis is placed on perfection and less on kids just playing. You don't need to account for every minute of the party like you do by overscheduling your kids with their extracurricular activities. You'd be surprised how content young people are when forced to entertain themselves with their imaginations when they get bored. Although I will say karaoke seems like a great option at a modern birthday and cost-effective too. The lavish photo locations, the step and repeats, and the silent discos seem like someone's trying too hard. And by someone I mean mom. As we reached certain ages, the birthday party morphed into having some friends over for the night. A no-hassle movie night, fueled by junk food and laughing till dawn. That's it. That's all it took. Sleepovers today, they're glamping for the pampered daddy's girl, if they're allowed at all. Where once we brought a sleeping bag and pillow over, today's hosts would have none of it. They got you covered with an instant sleepaway camp that continues your chosen theme with unique tents and accessories provided by party planning companies who set up and strike the temporary campsite used for those picture-perfect posts. The once $50 budget for a birthday party is now in the thousands for theme and venue. With all the money mom and dads are spending today, you'd think they were charging their guests' parents. Oh wait, some of them do.
Huh?
Bring on the pizza and the pop. Yeah, I said pop. That's what we called soda when growing up in the Pacific Northwest. Did you too? If it wasn't pop, it was jugs of fruit punch or lemonade accompanied by baskets full of chips, dip, and Cheeto-covered fingers from pounding down Cheetos by the handful. Hot dogs and hamburgers worked just as well, and this was all before the cake and ice cream. Pizza was ideal for the skating rink, as was of course Chuck E. Cheese's, which also came equipped with activities in the form of an endless array of games to play. McD's and BK had you covered with their brand of burgers and fries and provided the cake as well. Who didn't love their birthday party in the era of bright-colored clowns and shiny gold crowns? You can't find that caliber of fun today, and that's a shame. Have you seen some of these spreads, some of these dessert buffets? A 10-year-old doesn't need a catered birthday. Hell, they don't deserve a catered birthday. And what parent needs the aggravation or the bill? But that's what's going on more often than we realize. Who is the catering for? The kid or the parent who has been influenced, aka guilted, into some of these extravaganzas through self-absorbed or misguided mommy bloggers? Cake was cake. If you were lucky, it was in the shape of your favorite character. At least I think it's a character. Or maybe they made a more realistic appearance sitting on top. They certainly weren't created by boutique bakers or the winner of Cake Boss. Just your local grocer, or better yet, the talents of moms from yesteryear. They frosted your favorite flavors with love, carefully placed each candle, and it sat like a museum piece to ogle until it was time to take a knife to it, hacking it to ribbons to be paired with delicious and required ice cream. Kids don't care if the cake came from a designer bakery that requires a car down payment. Moms want that. They want the gram. The kids, they just want to eat it, alongside the ice cream from a tub or probably a box. Did you have those awesome little plastic orange sickle cups with the wooden flat spoonish thing that resembled the reed of a woodwind instrument? That's all it took to win me over. Cake was always accompanied with ice cream, and that was enough. But with today's uptick in ice cream truck rentals for parties, nothing ever seems enough. It's your kid's birthday. Are you shelling out hundreds of dollars for their friends to be entertained or to impress their parents and showcase your successful party online? Does that really matter? Based on what I've experienced, there seems to be this imagined pressure to ensure each guest has the best time possible and to make next year's party bigger and better than this one. Maybe it's time to just reel it in a bit. We kids knew what the other kid wanted, and the $5 gift was perfect. Hastily wrapped and hastily torn into when the time came, everyone shared in the grand gift reveal. Presents were opened in front of your guests, not carted away for later. This is a birthday, not a wedding reception. Thank you cards were not going to follow. The thank you was the face on the birthday kid when they opened the newest toy, the one they hoped for, and now the one that became the next big party activity. Toy or tape cassette, you ran off together to entertain yourself with the new plaything. You'd show off your room full of action figures and then take them outside to play, or just sit together while popping your new album into the tape deck to check out the tunes. Although exciting for the child to experience, the lengths at which parents go can be argued as overboard. This is not a bridal shower. When I opened my gifts, it was a group affair, and everybody knew the favorites. It became the centerpiece of the party, and the attention paid to the new shiny object was akin to a unicorn having been let loose in the living room. In all of this chaos, Mom began the cleanup process. Believe it or not, that was her time to relax. The end was in sight. Parents didn't stay for the party back then. The host family didn't expect them to. These were your child's friends, but that didn't mean your mom knew all the parents. You just hoped the person doing the drive and drop was going to come back later to pick their kid up. Pausing just long enough to wave and see their little hellion inside the door, the birthday mom was on her own. Another mom of a close friend might volunteer to help, or sometimes mom was able to rope dad or another family member to keep this free-for-all from becoming too free-for-all. I've heard of children getting goodie bags with a $10 iTunes gift card in it. Let's dial that back and remember, this is not an unbirthday. We aren't giving the guests gifts. Okay, maybe a thank you bag of candy and silly putty or bubbles. Better yet, make them work for it. Do you remember parties with piñatas? They weren't just for Cinco de Mayo, but tire out those kids with spinning and swinging before they dive on the ground and gather everything they could carry. Boom, goodie bags are done. No one gave it a second thought, and mom didn't give a damn what other moms thought about it. She was probably applauded back then. And when was it required to invite everyone in your class? You already brought the cookies or cupcakes to school to share with the entire room, so why not just have your party with your besties? The other students knew the score. You had best friends, and some of the others just didn't make the cut. You don't invite that one uncle to your wedding, the one you haven't talked to in years for good reason, so why invite everyone from school? Kids might be disappointed, but it's good to learn that young, before it's too late. I've heard of parties with 20 kids, and those were for birthdays where the kid is turning 1 year old. Don't get me started on those epic parties for those younger than 5. If you've been paying attention, you know why a simple child's birthday party has become an epic event that can make or break you. At least that's what some parents think due to social media's influence on them. The need to not only feel adequate against all the online parenting advice out there, but also to gain clout with the one-upmanship disease has made what you do never enough. It's time to stop comparing yourself to others. Sadly, with all the broken homes today, we're also faced with a heaping helping of, look, I'm better than mommy, or see, I did that better than daddy. It's sad but true. A kid just wants to spend time with you and their friends. They aren't looking for clout, but the love and some attention. I've heard that some modern parents feel like they're making up for lackluster or less than stellar birthday parties they remember during their Gen experience, even though most of these parents have fond memories of those simpler celebrations. Gone are Capri Sun pouches, hot dogs, and slip-and-slides. Now you have to spend hundreds of dollars for parents to even entertain the thought of bringing their kid to your party. We experienced an era where others' opinions mattered less, and even if they did, you never let somebody know it. My mom didn't give an F what anyone thought and didn't post about it on social media to prove she was a good mommy because thankfully, none of that was even invented. If you'd like this content, press like. If you haven't subscribed, do that too. A birthday celebration at home with a special dinner, cake, ice cream, and family and a few friends singing to you before opening presents was all we needed for a successful birthday party during the Gen experience. That or a Happy Meal and a play place. Either would provide us the joy that would last a lifetime, or at least until the next birthday. Please share your birthday memories from that era and whether or not you think today's trends for parties have gone berserk with expectations that are unmanageable, expensive, and obnoxious. Thanks for hanging on to the end, and please return next week for a whole new show. Until next time.